beginning, middle, and end.
Did you find writing the book therapeutic? Did you come out more enlightened after this?
Yeah, definitely. It was a really, really cathartic experience. Like just understanding myself a bit better. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody, actually.
How did Mirror Mind go from being a class assignment to being a comic book that you published? We can see some of your progress on your website, on your blog at mirrormind.ca.
Well, as you say, I started the book as a class project. It was a really short sort of outline of the story of 17 pages, and I took it to my friend and special ed coordinator, Pearl Levy, who actually appears in the book as the person who did my assessment, and she was kind enough to write the introduction to my book. So I brought it to her, and I gave her a copy of it, really just because I was so grateful for everything she'd given me in my life. The fact that she gave me this assessment when I was a kid held me through my life. Like, it was just such an amazing thing. And then when I got to university, she made sure that I was able to do all my classes properly. She made sure I had all my accommodations. It was just such a godsend. So I wanted to give her a copy of it just to show her, that I appreciated everything she'd given me. So I gave her a copy, and I sort of blushed and I left. And then she emailed me and she was like, "Can you print me off like 5 more copies of this? Because I really want to give it to some of the other kids." And I was like, "Oh, yes, easily." So I printed them off, and I came into the office, and I gave them to her, and she sort of like pulled me down. She sat me down. She goes, "You need to write this. You need to make this a book. You need to extend this. Like, you need to talk about what dyslexia is. Like, we need a book like this." And I was sort of surprised, and I was like, oh, Pearl Levy thinks I'm smart. I'm going to do that. And so I had that in the back of my head, and then I got my assignment back from Professor Parker, and he said, come talk to me. And so I went and I talked to him, and he was like, "Okay, you need to change this, and this, and you need to extend here and do this and this." And I was like, "Okay, well, the school year's over, so I've already got my mark." And he was just like, no, you need to make this into a book as well. And just having these two ends of support made me go, yeah, I do need to make this into a book. So I had this final manuscript, and I gave it to Pearl, and then the Ontario branch of the International Dyslexics Association got a copy, and I got this fabulous email from them saying, "We just read your book, and we want to help you out, and if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know." And I was like, well, I do want to get it printed. And so they really generously helped me get it printed. They're such an amazing group of people. So I got my first batch of books printed off, and then they sold out, and I had enough money to do the next round of printing, and all of a sudden I had...
On your blog, there's a lot more text on the... And I think you got it down to sort of the less is more, that the images speak for themselves.
Definitely.
And how did you make those decisions?
Well,
Or you just felt it?
I felt it. Well, my mother was incredible. My mom's just an amazing graphic artist and artist in general, and she talked to me a little bit about balance and contrast and wanting to keep consistency from what's inside the book to what's on the cover. And she just, really just explained things to me, and just it helped me see what it was to brand something and to make something your own, and that you don't need to explain everything that the book is on the cover. You need to explain that there's something worth reading inside the book. So...
And can you show us some of the originals?
I can show you all the originals.
Wow.
I am a pet rat. I can show you my original work. This is the absolute first version that I ever did.
Look at that.
And so I have all the pages glued together because I had only my inkjet printer, and I couldn't get it to print out properly, so I had to glue it all together with little bars because it just would not print properly. And then my first page originally was just covered in writing, and I had this really awful font called Apple Butter that I thought was kind of cool because it looked a little bit like Comic Sans, but I thought nicer. So that was the first draft, have, this is my thumbnail, my first page that I drew. Well, the first version of this page. This is page.
On lined paper.
This is lined paper. And what I did was I figured out basically what I wanted it to look like. There were a couple of other pages where I drew it really small on a piece of paper, and here I was just figuring out how I wanted the dialogue to work and what I wanted people to be saying on each panel. And then I penciled and inked it.
So that is just pencil and ink.
This is just pencil and ink.
Wow.
And I drew that up. And then what I did was I scanned it into the computer and I turned it into a vector and I edited it.
Can we get a copy of Mirror Mind?
You can get a copy of Mirror Mind at mirrormind.ca. You can order it off of me, off of my website, but you can also, and I highly recommend this, it's available at the Beguiling Bookstore in Toronto. And I am often there myself.
What was your reaction the first time you saw the finished product of Mirror Mind?
I was like, yeah, this is my books. I was so happy.
You're working. You talk a little bit about a children's book that you're working on.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's called Raspberry Thorn. It's about a little girl who gets lost in a raspberry briar.
Oh.
And a magical raspberry briar that's filled with jackalopes and winged cats and having a little adventure. I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Maybe you could sign the Humber Summit copy of Mirror Mind, and
I would love to. Thank you.
A very special copy. That is fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, here's another one. How about Cheers?
Ah, I've seen that one.
Pulling books out going, you should read this one too.